Hi, I'm Carly, we're Coral Moons, and these are our first concerts.
My first concert was Panic at the Disco in 7th grade for their first album, which I can't even remember the name of their first album at this point. And I saw them at Rochester Institute of Technology, I think it was the Coliseum? No, what is that? The gym. It was in their gymnasium.
Fieldhouse.
The Fieldhouse, yeah. It's funny, my sister was super into them, and then I kind of joined a band with her friends, which she was very mad about, and they were all into the pop punk scene, and so we all like drove from Little Oneida, New York to Rochester, New York to go see Panic at the Disco. And so it was just a really funny experience. And I remember Jack's Mannequin was on that, and Plain White Tees. Those are the two other bands on that show. They were so good. It was like this huge theatrical thing. Pretty wild.
As a theater boy, how did that make you feel?
It was awesome. They were getting it. It was really fun.
My first concert was Hilary Duff at the local Rochester Amherst Arena. And there was a huge blizzard that night. My mom and I were going. We were decked out. I was wearing my first ever pink mini skirt. And there was a huge snowstorm, which is very normal for January in Rochester, New York. And we drove there. Half the stadium was empty because everyone stayed home and because of the snowstorm. And I remember hearing Come Clean for the first time live, and I cried my face off. And I love you, Hilary Duff. and Lizzie McGuire. Yeah.
So, my first concert was actually for my dad. It was Jethro Tull, not my choice. I was very young. But I got him back because the first concert I wanted to go to was Hootie and the Blowfish. My sister was supposed to take me, but she wasn't old enough because I was underage, so my dad had to take me, and he hated it. I have no idea what the Jethro Tull concert was, but I remember Jethro Tull was very old. I was probably, 10. And Hootie and the Blowfish was in Sayreville, New Jersey, at I forget. But it's the only venue in Sayreville. That's all I remember. Oh, you could still smoke inside. And everyone was smoking cigarettes, and it was awful.
Don't smoke, kids.
Yeah, don't do drugs.
My turn. In high school, my first concert was to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Being a bass player, one of my first bass heroes was Flea. Super stoked about that. Cool thing about this concert was one of my friends had a connection with John Frusciante's dad, so we got VIP tickets. And I was super stoked to meet the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but because my friends in high school at the time were my ride, they were not really cool with meeting them or staying up late enough to meet them. So I kind of just snapped a pic of Chad Smith, the drummer, and then we peaced out.
That's insanity.
That's awesome. But the show was amazing. It was in the Palm Beach Amphitheater in South Florida, and it was opened up by Snoop Dogg, which was very cool. Yeah.
Was it Snoop Dogg or Snoop Lion?
It was Snoop Dogg at the time. Yeah.
Pre-Lion.
Yeah. But they were amazing, and to this day they were my favorite. It was one of my favorite shows.
Awesome. So my first concert, I didn't actually even get into, and this is a good story. It was like 1999, Jones Beach Amphitheater. My cousins and I tried to sneak into the Britney Spears concert, and we got really close, and then we got like kicked out of backstage. I was 10, so I was like a child, and we ended up like climbing the fence and watching the concert. This is probably like, what's the statute of limitations on just shenanigans when you were a kid? And we watched the concert from the parking lot. But I say it's my first concert because it's like a really memorable experience for me. I think my actual first concert that I got into was Justin Timberlake at that same place like a few years later. But yeah, Britney Spears was like, it was awesome. It was very cool. It definitely didn't like influence my musical career in any way. I didn't get into like music until a little bit later, but it was really dope, and I felt really badass, like, for the first time, because when you're a kid, I was like, oh man, this is different. So yeah, I count that as my first concert, Britney Spears. I don't know who opened, but who cares?